Hi.
And we're
We are
live.
live.
Hello.
Lunchtime, lockdown lunchtime live. So back with Danny's EPT.
I'm in a weird mood today.
The bookish mindset, Nikki,
Hello.
and myself, personal accountability coach. It's
With
easier.
COVID.
It's easier to say Pac-Man, isn't it? Much
It is cool.
It's him. So welcome back, Danny. You are the person that came up with today's title of relationships. So
Already.
tell the viewers and listeners where you came up with the idea, because I think that was a good introduction.
Right. First of all, I was listening to a podcast this week about perfectionism and how you can be perfect or try to be perfect in one aspect of your life, and in the other aspects, it seems to be quite lacking. So you can't be perfect in every factor. So it was the ESG Fitness podcast, and she used the example of Picasso. So Picasso was a brilliant artist, and he devoted all his time and attention into his art, and that's where his passion was, and that's where his passion lies, and that's what he was known for. But then behind that, there is the other side to him where he was absolutely ridiculous at being with someone, and he had multiple affairs and multiple partners at once, and he just didn't really care. So the whole reason why I wanted to say it is because is it strange that we find these traits for people are well known, or these things that people are well known for, but they're absolutely shit in other aspects of their life? Like, is there a balance between being really good at something and still having everything else balanced out? So in terms of your friendships, relationships, home life, or anything as such, like, do you think that in being so devoted to one thing that the other ones are kind of deprived, or do you think there's some sort of a certain balance? Because for me, for example, I'm very career driven and I'm very career orientated, which means that I tend to focus a lot on that and put a lot of time and energy into that. And it shows because obviously I'm progressing. But then would there come a time where you kind of have to stop and say, right, do I stop being so ambitious? Or do I just kind of find the medium between? So I thought, wow, it's really interesting, you know.
So,
Yeah.
right, I think, from a coaching perspective, if I'm coaching somebody and they've put a goal in place for next week, and the following week we sit down and they haven't done it, quite often I would say that's because you gave more fucks about doing something else than doing this. And that's a prime example of it. Mr. Picasso, he gave more care about his painting than doing anything else. So he put his time into his painting. And the other thing then, if I would pick up and credit to Paul Mort, but where attention goes, energy flows, and results show.
I was just thinking of that. That's exactly what came to mind when Danny was talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think it's very hard not to. So, what's your thoughts, Nikki?
I think it's difficult balancing everything. There's never going to be just one thing you're doing in life. If you're in uni, you're not just doing uni, you're living with people, you've got social aspects. If you're working and you live on your own, you're working, but then you also have to keep a house all together. There's life admin, there's everything. If you're living with a partner, you're both working, you both have extra stuff to do. You might have different friendship circles. Everything's got to be a little bit of give and take. And yeah, it's choosing what's more important to you, or what's more important at that particular time. And that sounds a bit drastic maybe, but I think one good example that I've found sort of into last year is I can very easily come home and sit in front of the telly and watch anything without any real thought, whereas I could be doing something, I could be reading instead, which I know I enjoy, and choose, it's sort of actively choosing to do the things that you know you want to do or know would be good for you. So there's always going to be a bit of give and take. But then if I'm reading or I'm watching telly, I'm not perhaps hoovering, or I haven't put the dishwasher on, or I haven't. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? There's definitely give and take, and it's not always the same answer each hour, each minute of the day. I think that's got to constantly change.
Do you think there's specific periods in your life where you need to be like, all right, I'm going to spend X amount of time building up my own future, and then afterwards maybe think about settling down? Or do you think that having a supportive partner is also just as important, or can be, a strength at the same time?
I think that differs very much between people. I think it's so circumstantial, but it's
it's a difficult one, isn't it? It really makes you think. It really makes you think. This is why I thought, well, actually, I wanted to discuss it because I wanted someone else's opinion, and I just wanted to see, especially from the Picasso point of view, that you can be known and you can be really good at something, but you can be really shitty at something else in your life.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just, you never really know someone, especially someone that's well known. You actually never really know.
I think especially with small businesses and starting up your own business, that's got to be priority, if that's your situation, because that is your livelihood, rather than just a 9-to-5 job that you're there and you will get paid, assuming you turn up and actually work, granted, but that is that's your block of work and then everything else. But whereas when you're starting a business, as you both know, you might have business hours here, but actually it's everything else, and it sort of becomes all encompassing because you've got to plan for the next day, and actually there might be everything else. So I think if you're at the start of your business journey, then that's got to be a focus, and other things will give, but that means in a 6 months, in a year, it reshuffles itself because your business is stable, hopefully, and it means you need to put less time to it because it doesn't need that same startup you've got sort of rolling.
You can kind of find your flow. But this is where having like children and a whole family starting out a business, I commend them so much, because that is a balancing act and spinning so many plates. For me, it's easy because I don't have children or anything like that, so I don't have that responsibility. But in terms of being married with kids and things, and still having that ambition and that passion to try and fuel it into your own business, I think that's something that's very admirable, and I think it's undervalued.
What I think about that is because the title of the title of the podcast is relationships. If you're in a relationship, speaking of relationships, my dad's phoned with me. Hi, Dad.
Oh. Love that, Dad. He's probably got something wise to say, so just put the phone to the microphone.
Dad, talk to us about relationships. But I think with any of that is communication, right? If you do have this singular focus of I'm going to build my business up, whether it's up to a family, and if it's just to a partner, you tell them. But also, if it's going to take you away from your friendships, you tell them so that people understand. And if they are true friends, if they're a good partner, loving partner, they'll completely support you. But even if there's family, if there's kids, if they understand what's going on, that's your team. Make sure your team around you are supporting you, because you will support them. They'll be the ones that give you the G up when they can see that you've fallen flat, or you've, like, I don't know, if I go quiet on Instagram or whatever, but and people around me like yourselves know that that's important to me, I get a nudge then.
Yeah.
And there's that bit of support to people check in with you and things. So I think if you've got to communicate what you're doing.
And I
Um,
think
'cause they can be,
if we
and involve as well.
yeah, because I think they can be your raison d'être, your reason to be. That's your reason for doing it. Perhaps is to support yourself, is to support your family, is to keep that, is to inspire. You know, it's that.
and to make them proud, yeah, and like you say, to
Yeah, I
inspire.
think that's really important. And even if they're not your ideal client, which makes it a little bit more difficult to get them on board, I think explaining and helping them understand why, I think, is really important.
But also things like they can end up being like you need them to be your biggest cheerleaders,
Mm,
um, because
yeah,
you know, and but you also need them to be your biggest critic on the inside. So they need to be
yeah,
involved. You know, if you've
yeah,
got kids and you're going out to flyer for you've set up a new bakery or something, and you need to go and flyer houses, take the kids out and get them to flyer the doors as well. Like
free
they can
labour.
become the slave labor with your children. But yeah, you've got to communicate. They've got to be involved. I watched a YouTube video the other night. A guy called Christian Guzman, who is Mr. Alpha Elite. So he's like a YouTuber, fitness YouTuber, Mr. Fake Tan and you know, good body and you know,
Good genes.
good genes, yes. But he's like he built up a YouTube business and then he built up a clothing brand off the back of it. He's obviously done really well because you know one out of three of us knew who he was. But he's actually built up a really successful business, and now he's been building for the last 9 months or so. Like throughout COVID, he's been building a new like gym called Alpha Land, and he's been videoing it, and he's been showing that he's been running on like 2 hours sleep and just how much effort is, and you know how much he's doing. And obviously, he's only putting out what side he wants of it. But
Mm,
he made a comment last night about if if you know that this is going to get you to a better place, and through the short term, you've got to put in some overtime, you've got to have some sleepless nights, then you've got to go and do it because otherwise you're not going to get the results that you expect. You're only going to get half the results.
yeah, you get out what you put in.
And in his videos all the time, his girlfriend is there, his friends are in it. Like you can see that his employees are in it. Even the builders that are building are in it. You can see how many people it takes to make something happen. It's never. It might be his name on
Mm,
it, but it's never just one person it takes to get there. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
that's
it's
a nice analogy.
definitely important who you have in your corner backing you up, not just support wise, but also like mindset wise and value wise and everything like that. Yeah, and value wise as well, because you want that strong structure, don't you? And you want to celebrate
Mm,
with the people who have made you better as well. So it
yeah,
is very important. At the same time, I think it's also important that we flip it around, and even though we've got people supporting us, I think we still need to find the time to support them as
yeah,
well. Maybe they, they don't have a small business, but we can support them in other aspects of their life. And it also just makes us feel happy. It is one of the things that give us happiness, is being social and giving. So I think that
definitely.
it's only going to benefit us more if we also support other people and be there for them, and also just enjoy their company. I think we're so on this, oh, support a friend who wants what's best for you, but it's also nice just to have a laugh with them and just kind of relax with them. But like I say, finding the balance is
Yeah, it's got to be, isn't it? It's give and take. Everything's got to be give and take. Definitely.
yeah.
and I think you sometimes have to keep your friends are there to support you, but they can't become your employees.
Your
Or
only
whatever.
customers. Yeah.
Kelly Jones is on a. So I don't know if anybody saw my Instagram, but on Monday I seemed to make it Kelly Jones Appreciation Day. It was unofficial Kelly Jones Appreciation Day. It was actually Burns night, so I should have made it all about Robbie Burns, but I made it about Kelly Jones.
I have no idea who that is. So
Who? Robbie Burns.
Kelly Jones.
Oh, Kelly Jones. Robert Burns is a famous Scottish poet who's got a whole night named after him, where we eat haggis and get pissed.
Right.
And he's a really famous Scottish
Is
poet.
it good?
It's a big thing. It's a big thing.
So, and there's a whole like presentation of the haggis and how it's actually presented, and there's a whole poem called "Ode to the Haggis."
Now, when is this?
It was on Monday
25th?
night. You have to wait.
25th,
Oh.
isn't it? Yeah.
Ah,
And there's a bit of a weird
I missed
tradition.
it.
There's a weird tradition of the person who serves the haggis to the head of the table, who will do the ode to the haggis, which is like a whole ceremony of celebrating the haggis. But the person who walks it to the table, you would presume back in the olden times was a woman, but actually it was a young boy dressed up as a woman who would serve it to. And then you've got to think of there's all the men dressed around in kilts. So
In kilts.
we're a weird race. We are a weird race.
But lovely.
But it's
Lovely.
yeah, thanks, Danny. Anyway, Kelly Jones was in my thoughts on Monday because basically I was listening to Stereophonics and I'd listened to a podcast with Kelly Jones on it. But he said, I can't remember who gave him the advice. I think it might have been Bono. But he said, if you sit there at any point in your career and you look around and there's more people on your payroll than not, if you sit at the table and there's more people on your table that are paid, it's time to make a change.
Wow.
So, and I was like, yeah,
Like that.
you go on and these guys become really famous, and you look around and your bandmate's just a colleague. They were your friend at one point, but they're just a colleague. The roadies are all your mates. And he was the other thing he said was that at one point they got called to ask if they could do Live 8, which you hopefully remember what Live 8 was. It was the second one of Live Aid. I was there. I had tickets.
My parents went, I remember. Too young to go.
I saw bands like Pink Floyd, U2.
Springsteen was there, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, Springsteen, Stereophonics. But they were asked to play Live 8 by Bob Geldof. So, Danny, do you know what we're talking about now? Do you know what Live Aid was?
No.
Right, Live Aid was a concert in 1984. Pretty sure it was the year of my birth.
The original one.
The original one. So there's only been two for the famine in Africa. So Let Them Know It's Christmas Time. The song was with all the band members from that played at Live Aid. It was massive, and there was didn't a woman die being crushed by U2 fans in the original?
I can't remember. Jesus.
So I do think somebody died in the concert. But anyway, I think that was a side issue.
Yeah,
They raised loads of money for the children in Africa.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah.
We've gone around in circles a little bit. Let's.
In 2005, 6.
That sounds about right. Yeah, it's early 2000.
They redid it. It must have been 2000. Anyway, they redid it.
For the same people.
For the same people. Well, with some new guests. Snoop Dogg was there.
Yeah.
And Snoop
Oh,
Dogg.
sweet.
But when Snoop Dogg arrived to come and play it, he tried to bring a knife in through customs.
Oh. Honestly.
Yeah, la la la. Snoop Dogg.
Anyway, Kelly Jones.
What up?
So anyway, yeah. But they were not going to be able to play it because they had basically got big enough but they hadn't changed the people around them. Their roadies and everything were still their mates from back home, from the little villages in Wales. And they were like, oh,
Wow.
we can't do it because there was a 10 minutes change. They only allowed for a 10-minute stage changeover. And they were like, we can't do a 10-minute stage changeover. Like, Dave, he's too busy smoking a joint round the back to bloody well do that. So they were going to refuse it until they sat there and were like, hang on, what? We're refusing the biggest gig in our life because we can't go and get a professional crew. Like, that's stupid. So,
That's crazy.
yeah, so sometimes you've got to, take your,
Boundaries.
for the good of you, sometimes you've got to take your friends back out of the equation. And, and he said that some of them stuck around because they briefed them and said, we've got to get this done in 10 minutes. Are you able to do it or are you not? Because if you're not, you're going to go. But we're also bringing in some professional to help you.
It's
So,
nothing personal though. It's nothing. It's not a vendetta against them. It's just there's a job that's to be done that they can't fulfill. Unfortunately, it
yeah.
just happens. What do you think in terms of fitness, and having like a supportive family? So if you're dieting and then all of a sudden there's a big, obviously not now, there's a big family gathering, and people will say, "Oh, you're not on a diet, are you? Oh, it's just one day. Oh, don't be silly. Oh, come on." What do you think of that?
I think it's the kind of same thing. It's like I also said, you've got to talk to them, you've got to explain why and get them on your
It
side
is
with
communication.
it. I think I find that the office is worse for that. Or when everyone used to be in an office and they used to be, especially the last place I worked, it started off as Donut Friday and then it was sort of donut every day and donut whenever anyone was having a bad day. And it's just
Are there any
constant.
vacancies there?
But yeah, I find the office worse sometimes in terms of go on. You don't, they're your colleagues. You don't really want to divulge too much because you're like, there's a boundary here. Yeah. I think it's I think it's getting people on your side or explaining, or at least
it's the old thing of you only get people. The only people pulling you down are the ones below you, and the only ones pulling you up are the ones above you. It's so they want you to come to their level. Because it gives them comfort and validation for what they want to do.
And
so all you can be with those people is understanding and empathetic, and try whatever you can do to bring them up to your level. So instead of them hitting you with, should we get donuts first, you say, I've got you a salad first.
Oh.
When you walk past their desk, you're like, hey, got you a salad, mate? Enjoy.
That would go down.
I beat you up one.
Yeah, just remember those pulling you down.
That's a good phrase though. I like that.
Yeah. It's and it's important to remember that. But again, like, is it not just communication? Look,
I think it is communication.
Cheer me up with donuts, but donuts are not going to cheer me up. Losing 5 pounds is going to cheer me up. Please help me do that.
Yeah, I think it's just being assertive to a certain extent and saying that, look, I've got these goals, and just not worrying about it. It is difficult though when someone's got a Krispy Kreme in front of me. I'm back. I got goals. Nah, it's okay. It's fine. I'd rather just have no one off.
No, it's fine. I've got tomorrow's calories. Give me the Krispy Kreme. I'll borrow off tomorrow.
I'll just skim some off there.
What was I going to say? Oh, I've always got a lot to say.
I think that
I saw this on a post in the JSA group this week, where somebody was saying they'd phoned their mum, and their mum had been insulting off the back of their weight loss. So it goes to show that sometimes you think the most loving person around you can still be insulting around the fact you've lost weight.
I think that comes from possibly not so much jealousy, but it's just there are certain traits. We all have negativity in us, but there are certain traits where you're very proud of someone, but you're like, damn it, I wish I could do that.
I think
And
dieting's a funny
sometimes
one because
it can come across as jealousy and
Yeah.
negativity, you know.
I think dieting's always a funny one because if you're telling people you're on a diet, you're almost saying it's almost sometimes can be perceived as, well, I'm going on a diet, I'm going to be healthier and better, and I'm going to be better than you by doing this. And I think it's sometimes perceived as that, which then quite quickly turns people away from you. Like resisting a donut. If someone's done a nice thing and bought donuts for the office, and you say, "No, I'm all right, I'm on a diet," and you're going to go, "Why do you think you're better than us? You're not having a donut." Why? You know, it kind of. I think it can be perceived quite negatively, which is when people react and go, "Oh no, you're not. It's all right. It's just one," and they try, and that's it, bringing them down to your level, or they're like, you know. I think that's sometimes
I think it comes
yeah.
down to, do you want the donut? Yes, I do. Do you not want the donut? No, I don't. It's like because if you're vegan, right, and someone offers you an animal product, then they won't say, "Oh, come on, it's just one chicken breast. It's just one chicken breast. Go on."
Yeah,
like, so
that's right.
Surely there must be that level of respect as well if you're on a diet.
That's
as
a
well.
good word.
Yeah, sorry, I'm allergic to fat. I'm allergic to sugar.
Yeah.
I
don't like donuts, said no one ever.
Yeah, it's not right. It's your principles, isn't it? If you're talking about veganism, there, I don't want to eat chicken, so I'm not. That's a very easy, hard no, not at all.
Yeah,
but it's having that same mentality. I'm
passionate about the sugar canes. Save the sugar canes.
Yeah, it is different. It is a different thing. It is a different thing, but it's in terms of your preferences. So if you're veganism, no one's going to shove something in your face that you don't want. They'll probably offer once. If you say, "No thanks, I'm vegan," they'll leave it. If you say, "No thanks, I'm on a diet," why don't they go, okay, why do they care about going, "Oh, go on, oh, go on, oh, go on, it's just one. Just do extra."
I still get that with veganism.
But it's on the treadmill.
Oh, go on. Just one biscuit won't hurt. I know it won't hurt. That's not the point. It's the fact that I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strange. Yeah. I feel like a donut though. I'll be honest with you.
I do fancy a donut now. Sorry.
I do
fancy a donut.
Well, if you feel like donuts, do you follow cheat day? I can't remember who they are on Instagram, but I get their email called Cheat Day Design, and they give you recipes for like cool shit, like nice, tasty shit that's like lower in fat. And today's was donut holes made in an air fryer. And I don't have an air fryer, but
You're gonna order one.
do want one now after me. And these donuts, I'm just trying to find the email.
I found an air fryer at Aldi.
So it's just a donut bite.
Did you?
It's just like a small amount of donut rather than a whole donut.
Yeah, I think it's that.
Yeah, it's just the middle bit, like
it's like a mini donut then.
But it's like as a bite, like a whole piece. It's not got a hole in. What's the point? Why do you not have a whole donut?
There's a mini donut, but they only have 35 calories in them. Even if you eat 10, it's only 350 calories.
No,
but a normal one. But they showed what the normal variation was. They showed that the normal they showed the normal one at 69 calories. So basically, it was half the amount of calories.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, I recommend you follow that person.
That's good because I like these calorie hacks. That's fine.
They are. I can't remember who they are on Instagram, but Cheat Day Design is the website cheatdaydesign.com. And the last email that I had before that was non-bake vegan brownies.
Oh, nice. Not an ad.
That's a bit of you. On that note, I think we have some research to do now.
I think that's a good. I think that's a good point to end on. When we're now rambling about food. Good.
Yeah, exactly.
We did end up our last episode. If you haven't watched that, you can do my YouTube thing. If you haven't watched that, you can go watch it here. So, if you want, please like and subscribe. You can do that here. I don't actually. I know now how to do that on YouTube, so that if you did that, you can place them exactly where you want. But anyway, they'll be here.
Someone in the vicinity somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere there.
But yeah, thank you very much, ladies. Another very helpful episode. I think our viewers now should be mindful of supporting the people around you. And if you're heading in a new direction and you're dedicating all your time and everything to it, remember to try and keep a balance. We're not saying don't give all your fucks to one thing, just do it a little bit less.
Like that.
Spread them out.
And that's it. Please like, subscribe, share. You're all amazing, lovely people. And yeah, thank you very much. Oh, and if not, go and get Nikki's email and my email and her blog.
Thanks.
Last minute plug.